of the moisture is going into the cloud, and then it's being rained down. It's being rained down all the way up to Tennessee, to Georgia, to South Carolina, and now they're starting to see the plant life start to die. The grass, the trees, they're seeing holes in their grass, turning different colors, which is a very dangerous situation, because what you'll have is you'll have the plant life that will start to die, you'll have the insects that start to die, you'll have the birds that start to die, and then you have to basically understand that eventually that will affect us as people, because the 1999 Exxon Valdez oil spill, they used the Corexit 9500 to clean it up. And basically what happened was those people are all dead. Those people are all dead from 1989 that cleaned it up, are all dead from the chemicals that were in that product. Now they're using that same product to clean up this oil spill, but they're just trying to disperse it underneath the ocean. So we have a dangerous situation where, it's going to be a slow death, and it's sad, and people don't want to think it. But if you use the same product 20 years ago and it killed everyone off, and you're using the same product now, what says it wouldn't do the same thing? Now, here's the dangerous thing. Because of now, it's more dangerous now because the temperature of the air and the water back then, up in Alaska, was, say, between 30 and 40 degrees air temperature and very cold water, so it didn't evaporate that much. Now in the Gulf, you have water temperature of 75 degrees and air temperature from 90 to 110 plus humidity and everything else. You're talking a more dangerous actual mixture. So you have people inland, 200 miles inland, that are getting sick, violently sick, and they're trying to cover it up, and they don't want to tell us, the people of our country, or even the world. I got a email from a guy in Ireland who said, I would never have guessed that what you're showing is really what's really happening down there, because they're telling people in other countries, in England and Ireland, that the oil spill stopped, and now they're just trying to clean it up, and what damage it'll cause to BP. So people are so misinformed about this, and I think that one thing I've been trying to study here the last week from our last talk was that the methane that's coming out, there's many scientists who are saying that the methane bubble is building underneath his head. If you go to Outlivesheep.com and you click on underneath the right-hand banner, there's a cam 2, and you can actually look at this oil coming out. It's more violent than it was even in the beginning. So what the concern is, and they don't want to scare the population, is that the methane bubble is building underneath the wellhead, and it's basically, from my understanding of this, is 20 miles long, 15 foot deep, of this gas that's building underneath. If that thing blows, by any means, if you understand what the methane can do, I mean, we're talking a tsunami of 60 to 100 foot tidal wave that would basically, and if you do the research on it, and I believe it was in Indonesia or around that area, that had one of these about 10 or 15 years ago, and it killed off a good part of the islanders because of the same thing. The methane built up and it blew, and that's what happened. So that's a serious situation on our hands, and I mean, right today, it's hardly, this oil spill is not even in the news. And I can make movies and I could talk about, which we'll get into the middle class, but the financial matters, the war in Iran, all these different things. But what's happening right now, the most serious, is that this oil gusher in the Gulf is so much more serious than what they're telling us. And it's going to have detrimental impact on the economy, affecting us, the middle class, because tourism employs 1 million people in Florida with tourism. Tourism is dying because who wants to go to the Gulf or go to Florida and go on an oily beach that smells like oil, or even inland that smells like oil? And it's a little scary situation.
It's very scary, and what's more scary is that people aren't being informed about it. And we all know it's a media blackout. That there's a reason why they're not doing it. But just to when you do your research, how concerned do you get with all this stuff? I mean, I'm sure you get really concerned, right?
Well, I do get really concerned, and it's the role of caring for people. I mean, we're human-loving people that we don't want to see anyone get hurt or die or get cancer. I mean, if nothing happens and everything goes away and they stop the oil spill tomorrow, which I hope they do, we still have the situation of the chemicals that they put down there of affecting people for 10 to 20 years. That, I mean, we're talking until they find a cure for cancer, which I don't think they will. They'll just treat cancer, as we talked about before, why they do that. It's very unfortunate, but, and you know, it's really going to hurt a lot of people, and most people don't seem to understand. They live in the now with, you know, what big screen television do I want? Where do I want to go? Take a vacation to, and which are important things. I'm not saying that they're not important.
Right.
But
it's not as important as it has issues out of here.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that what's important is that we also need to focus on this, and I don't think we want to scare the entire population so they rush out of there quickly, even though I think they should rush out of there quickly. But you know, I'm very surprised that they have not evacuated the Gulf out of their own. They just aren't doing it, and just like in like the 9/11, when like the environmental pollution, the EPA came out and said that the air was safe to breathe. Well, many of those people that were cleaning up the 9/11 mess, now they're sick and dying because the EPA told them that the air was safe to breathe. And you can go onto the tube and you can see exactly that clip where the head of the EPA comes out and says the air is safe to breathe. And now they're doing the same thing in the Gulf, saying we're not concerned, even though the toxicity level is higher than what humans should be allotted to breathe in. They're saying it's safe to breathe, and I think that's the concern. Is that, you know, let's go into the economy here. What's the top story of today? Payrolls dropped by 125,000. Jobless rate falls. How in the world can you have they cut 125,000 jobs and the jobless rate falls? And just let me read you something here, and tell me what you think of this. The unemployment rate dropped from 9.7% to 9.5%, the lowest level since July of 2009, but it fell because 652,000 people gave up on their job searches and left the labor force. People who are no longer looking for work aren't counted as unemployed. So what my question to this is, who is counting these people, and how are they counting them? If you or I decide not to look for work, you know, if someone calling us a toll-free thing, say, "Hey, Brian, are you looking for work today?" And no, I'm not looking for work. I'm going to give up for 3 months, and then I'm going to jump back into the labor force. I'm going to try to look again. So you have to ask yourself, if there's bad employment numbers, and they can twist it, they can manipulate it. So they could have said that 750,000 people were left the workforce and not looking for work. I mean, they can tell you anything they want when it comes to the mainstream media and when it comes to the government institutions. Of course, they don't want to scare society and say, hey, you know, it's absolutely terrible, because possibility that China and Russia and the other countries that are buying up a lot of treasury bills and buying dollars to keep our company afloat because of our debt, that they would jump ship, and then we'd be even more, in more of a situation than what we are. So if you understand how things are manipulated in society through the mainstream media, through the programming of the television, through the programming of the radio, and the different media outlets, then you can start to paint a picture for yourself and for the rest of your family and friends of what is really happening. I mean, do we want to live paranoid in this planet and not be happy? And I mean, there's a point where you have to have balance between being paranoid and knowing the truth.
Right.
But this is happening, and when you know the truth, you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Just like right now, I mean, what am I doing right now? I'm out in the field working with my customers, and not worrying about what's happening in golf. Even though I'm worried, I mean, I'm very worried, but I have to go to work. I have to do my job. I have to provide for my family. And I think my family